on this Tuesday, a little brisk Tuesday. New York City, baby. Holla at me. We're going to get the graphics popping, working on the show logo, the Ty Butler Show. And that will, of course, include social media handles. Ty D. Butler, that's where you can find me everywhere. I'm on X. I'm streaming right now on X. On YouTube, so follow and subscribe to the YouTube page, Ty D. Butler. Got to get that TikTok popping. Yo, TikTok is ringing off out here. And for a while, I don't know if I should say this, but I looked at TikTok as just like an annoying app. You know, my lady, big TikTok, she would send me a bunch of, links. And I'm just like, man, you had all these challenges. It was just like a social media phenomenon. But it's the wave. It's the wave. So we'll get the TikTok bumping. And that's where you'll see me post like the shorter version clips on X and on TikTok. But make sure you guys hit me up. Ty D. Butler, once again, is where you can find me. Week 1 is over, baby. Week 1 in the books. Last night, not the best game. Certainly gonna be hard to live up to Sunday night with the Ravens and the Bills. I don't want to say, because like when you're a Jet fan, you need that second team to root for. Not like you're a passionate fan of that team, but just one to keep your eyes on and follow. And because I'm such a big Lamar Jackson guy, the Ravens have become that squad, obviously, when they're not playing the Jets. So that was hurtful, man, to see them literally fumble that game away in the manner that they did. But that was the highlight of week 1 so far. It's certainly something you could talk about if you want to hit us up. Yo, I want to hear from you guys in the chat. So pull up to the chat. Make some noise in here. Excited to talk to you, and let's get it popping. But, I'm a Jet fan. We'll talk some New York Jets. And the question is, should fans be encouraged by what they saw on Sunday afternoon despite a loss? That's the question today we're focusing on. With the Giants, we're already in a QB1 controversy. Post-game, Brian Dable being asked, is Russell Wilson your starter going forward? And yesterday he said, yes, he will have Russell Wilson as his starter on Sunday against the Cowboys. But the fact that game went the way that it did, and look, I'm not going to run from it. I'm surprised I didn't get a text from Rosenberg rubbing it in my face, because for weeks, 2 months, I guess, I predicted the Giants were going to win that game. It's like the Giants are going to win that game. I felt good about the Giants, and clearly that did not go the way that I anticipated. I thought it was a positive, like as I'm watching the game, and they clearly were overmatched and just looked awful. And I'm thinking to myself, it's still a one-score game here in the fourth quarter. Now, the Giants just could not move the ball, but we'll talk about that as well and then run through some of the highlights of week 1. Let's start with the Jets, because people thought that I was being harsh, and I want to pull up the tweet that I immediately put out on Sunday after the game. So I tweeted this out at 8 o'clock, and it was upon me seeing Rodgers. He talked to the media, and of course he had some things to say. So what Rodgers said was there were probably people in the Jet organization that didn't think I could still play anymore. It was nice to remind them that I still can. So I quote tweeted that and said, "This is an embarrassing day for the new regime with the New York Jets. The folks trying to spin this are making themselves appear foolish because it could not have gone worse." Now, maybe that was overreactionary just because you get so wrapped up in these games, right? Like and people who listen to me, who watch me know, like I am a diehard NBA guy. But as crushing as losses can be for my team, like the Lakers, you can quickly get over it, similar to baseball, because your team plays the next day. With football, it's different. You got to sit on that for an entire week. and doing these shows. You're taking calls. You're surrounded by fans. So I was instantly annoyed that the people I watched this game with, the Jet fans I watched the game with, went to the all too familiar, well, at least they didn't embarrass themselves. At least they showed signs, that this could be a season that isn't as bad as we anticipated. And I'm just like, we don't get tired of that. We don't get tired of talking ourselves into moral victories. You still lost the game. So the biggest takeaway for me was, the offensive line, hell of a game. Justin Fields looked a lot better than we expected, particularly throwing the football. Garrett Wilson, big day. Breece Hall, man, shout out to him. He looked explosive. That's the guy that we've been raving about. My man Bart Scott been talking about Breece Hall. Bart said, and this was hilarious, and I had fun debating Bart about this. But Bart, when I had filled in for Carlin on the show, said if Breece Hall were in Philadelphia, he could have had the same season Saquon had last year. And I thought that was laughable. But Breece did look fantastic on Sunday. He had that step, that first step burst, explosive. And yes, there were a lot of positive signs. The fact that the offense put up 30-plus points, I mean, everyone in their predictions had this as a low-scoring game. Weather would play a factor. This would be a defensive battle. So to put up that amount of points on a defense that you would think is supposed to be like top 5-ish this year, very encouraging. But I just get so tired every year of us talking ourselves into that place of moral victory, where we almost dismiss the fact that they still lost the game. They lost the game. They're 0-1 to start the season, and I kept harping on this. And Rex Ryan uttered these same sentiments on Sunday on NFL Countdown this past Sunday. The Jets, when you take a look at their schedule, this was a sneaky, I don't want to say must win, but important as far as if we're trying to blueprint how this team can be better than anticipated. Sneaky big game. Because the schedule is home for Pittsburgh and Buffalo. You're at Tampa, at Miami, home for Dallas and Denver. First 6 weeks, now we'll get to the Miami part of this in a moment. It appeared to me that the first 6 weeks, this was the most winnable game. Just surveying the landscape, not having seen any of the week 1 action yet, this appeared to be the most winnable game. Now, at Miami, the way that they looked this past week against Daniel Jones and the Colts, and it's interesting because ESPN New York, we got our couch cast for that game, week 4. The Jets are in Miami. I'll be hosting on the radio, and then simultaneously there will be a couch cast, which I will take part of after I'm done on the show. But before we saw the Dolphins this past weekend, I thought, Pittsburgh, that's the most winnable game. And the Jets lost it, and in heartbreaking fashion. And as I am watching this game, I even tweeted out, with a bunch of exclamation points because I got excited. This was one of those, wow, I didn't think that this team could actually do things like that. How many times did we watch the Jet offense over the last couple seasons and then watch different teams like the Lions and the Packers and the Chiefs and the Bills and say, it's not the same sport. These teams aren't playing the same sport. So to watch them put up 32 in a game felt surreal. Breece Hall goes for over 100 yards, and Garrett Wilson had 95 yards. So your two best offensive players were doing what we thought that they could do and should have been doing the last couple seasons. But you still lost. And my biggest takeaway was, all right, if we are going to wax poetic about the culture change, the most effective way to evaluate a change in culture is the team's win-loss record. And you still lost the game. So they still struggle with how to win football games. Last year, 6 fourth quarter blown leads. You now once again have a fourth quarter blown lead where it was miraculous. And you got to give credit to Boswell for hitting a 60-yarder, which if you're a Jet fan, you knew that kick was going in. Those kicks were not would not have gone in for Nick Folk. But I just get so tired, guys. It's exhausting. Post-game, after a loss, finding the bright spot, finding the, moral victory element to it, finding the silver lining. Like, that's exhausting as a fan. And it's funny because I was talking to my wife before the game, and she's like, yo, are you nervous? And I said, nah, I'm not really nervous because I don't come into this season with as high as expectations. Emotionally, I'm kind of muted. But then once kickoff happens, all of that goes out the window. So I'm watching, and, when you felt like they could win, they rip your heart out from you in the end. Garrett Wilson, it's a tough play, a catch that I thought he should have made. I love how a lot of people, immediate reaction, Justin Fields. That's the first down you got to grab because it looked like he could have gotten it with his legs. But if you rewatch the play, there were 3 Steelers defenders. I don't know if it's as easy as people are making it out to be. It was going to be a tough, very, very tough time for him to pick up that first down, even if he had gone. Now, I still think he should have gone, but it's a, bang, bang play, quick decision. You try your best to make the best play in that situation, and he thought the best play was throwing it to Garrett Wilson, who had been excellent in the game, and unfortunately, Garrett just was not, he just wasn't able to hold on to it. So, devastating loss, especially because of who you lost to, and that's why I called it embarrassing. I called it embarrassing because this is Aaron Rodgers, and I love how athletes will tell you a bunch of lies in the lead up to the game. It's like, oh, it's just same game. It's just an opponent, 1 of 17. This game is no bigger than the other one. This was a big game for Aaron. And I thought this was conversely a big game for the Jet organization because you stuck it to this guy. This was someone you said wasn't good enough to play for your organization. And now he leaves the field after throwing 4 touchdowns and beats you. So we can sit here and pretend like, oh, it's just another game. It's Aaron Rodgers, next opponent up. That was a monumental game because imagine how symbolic, imagine how emphatic, imagine how significant winning that type of game would have been. If you score 32 points, Justin Fields is balling, Brees and Garrett are doing their things respectively. And at the defense, which we'll get to in a moment, obviously didn't have its best game, but you still came away with a victory and doing so in a thrilling fourth quarter fashion. That's one hell of a way to inaugurate this new regime, this head coach who has said he is going to change the culture. So I thought that it was emblematic of still symptoms that the Jets have going back to regimes past and years past, where at this point they just don't know how to win games. They still don't know how to win games. And that's my biggest issue. The Jets still do not know how to win games. And it's not to say that won't come, but now it's week 2 against Buffalo. And if this Jet defense that showed up against Pittsburgh shows up against the Bills I just watched on Sunday night, they're cooked. There will be some adjustments, I'm sure. But That happened against an immobile quarterback in Rodgers. Imagine with Josh Allen, what the type of issues he's going to present. And I know the Jets, every year, there's at least one game where they play the Bills tough. That Josh Allen I watched Sunday night, that was a different level. That felt like LeBron 2012 Game 6 in Boston. Like, that's the type of performance I felt like I was watching with Josh Allen against the Baltimore Ravens. So, am I encouraged? I guess once I comb through my emotions, because I'm always emotional after games. And this is why I don't really like to watch games with people. My wife will get annoyed with me because of my energy and the way I'm acting. I'm so anxious. I then get angry. The commercial breaks feel longer. And it takes me a while to come down off of how I'm feeling. And Sunday, it was very frustrating because this Aaron Glenn regime was really shaped by what? His defensive prowess. And defensively, you watch his last two games, rookie quarterback for the Commanders just blew the doors off of his Detroit Lions, 45 points. And now you gave up what a lot of people were 34 points to the Steelers, and a lot of people are saying, watch this ends up being their season high. So hit me up. Want to hear from you on X, Ty D Butler. If you're on YouTube watching me, ring me up in the chat, Ty D Butler. And of course, you can always comment on the show, however you're consuming it. Once again, that's X, Ty D Butler, and YouTube. So, Jet fans out there, are you encouraged by this performance? Are you encouraged by what we just saw from the New York Jets, albeit in a loss? But we just saw them have the type of performance offensively that we didn't expect. Now, conversely, they had a performance we didn't expect defensively. So, want to get your thoughts, want to get your takes on that. At Ty D Butler, hit me on Twitter, X, and also hit me in the YouTube chat. Dial it up, y'all. Dial it up. All right, let's go to the New York Giants. I know we got some Giant fans here. Yo, how crazy is it that we're already having the should Russell Wilson continue to be the starter for the Giants? And here's what I warn people, and I'll be candid because I don't run from wrong predictions. I'm here. I'm outside, man. Y'all know me. I'm outside, baby. I predicted the Giants were going to win this game. They did not win this game. They didn't even come close to winning this game. And although it felt like, although it was a one-score game, late in the third quarter into the fourth, felt like it was more than that. That offense was embarrassing. The offensive line, once again, continues to be the biggest question mark. And especially when you throw on top of it, Andrew Thomas not being there, Russell Wilson has lost his mobility. This is what I want to remind people. How is it possible for us to, with conviction, and this includes me, with conviction say they upgraded at quarterback? Because all the Giant fans were so excited to get Daniel Jones out of here. And I understand that. The turnovers, the injuries, he was so frustrating to watch. Because there was some talent there. It just never all came together for him. How are we to, with conviction, say that there was an upgrade at the quarterback position when we watched Russell Wilson last season with the Steelers? If y'all don't remember, we're posing the question, should Mike Tomlin go back to Justin Fields? Because that's how bad things had gotten for the Steelers offense. Should he go back to Justin Fields? They gagged that division away. Baltimore, an excellent football team, were in second place and needed to go on a run late in the season to beat a Pittsburgh team that ended its year with 5 straight losses. Mainly because the quarterback could not score points. They didn't score more than 17 points during the 5-game losing streak. So how are we with conviction saying that there was an upgrade at the quarterback position? Russ in his prime, yeah, let Russ cook. That was a thing for about 2 years. But now mobility shot. And it's not just on him. As I alluded to, that offensive lineman is in shambles. In shambles. And I was listening to the radio this morning, dropping my kids off at school. Big up to my guys, DPH on Rothenberg, RJ, Santiago, the whole squad, doing just wonderful things in the morning. Awesome listen on ESPN 880. So I'm listening to the show, and this was hilarious. A frustrated Giant fan called up and was like, fam, I feel like I've spent the last decade complaining about the offensive line. Like this, remember Eli Manning's career, how it ended. We all remember the controversial benching, right? Geno Smith, Ben McAdoo, that whole debacle. He comes back, insane. There was a large contingent of the Giant fandom or the Giant fan base that could not figure out if it was an Eli issue or an offensive line issue. I remember talking to diehard Giant fans, friends of mine, who were like, yo, you're being too hard on Eli. I'm like, what do you mean? He stinks. It's like, no. If you give him an offensive line, he'll be better. And this was 2 or 3 years before he retired. We're now in 2025, y'all. We're still having the same conversation about this offensive line. Multiple regimes trying to figure it out. Now, in the Giant defense, Andrew Thomas, when he plays, is excellent. Problem is, last 2 years, 16 games he's played. That's not excellent. But in shambles, where I can blame Russ because I don't think he was very good. But the offensive line not giving him any time to throw, that's why I find it so comical. A lot of Giant fans out there are saying they should bring in Jackson Dart. Really? You want to see Jackson Dart behind that offensive line? This Giant team was ranked 31st in points scored last year. 31st. What upgrades did they make to this roster? Now, you were banking on Thomas being healthy. You were banking on Malik Neighbors continuing to be tremendous. And I guess you drafted Scatterable. But Russell Wilson, by himself, in his prime, maybe could elevate you significantly on that side of the ball. He's no longer in his prime. So I just laugh at folks questioning, should Jackson Dart be thrown into the fire? Are you trying to ruin this kid? The only reason you would throw him into the fire right now is if you're desperate and you're trying to save your job if you're Dable and Shane. And that's not the type of decision-making I want if I'm this organization. I don't want moves of desperation. I want these guys, and it's hard for them to do this, so I don't think that they will or should because I wouldn't in that circumstance. But ideally, if I'm John Mara, I would want these guys operating from the standpoint of what is best for our organization long-term. And best for them long-term is not to bring Jackson Dart into what is a dumpster fire right now. So I get it. The immediate reaction is going to be, gotta see Dart. You saw Neighbors and Dable getting into it. It's a lot of frustration. People will say, well, already week one? It's not just week one. It goes back to last season. This was a 3-win team, man. 31st in point score last year. So there's an effect year over year. And at some point, you just get sick and tired of it. Same old thing. But that's not a reason to bring Dart into this equation because you don't want to ruin the kid. Whatever his ceiling is, you don't maximize that by getting desperate, acting out of desperation to save your job, especially with the schedule being tough. And here's the problem for the Giants. We talked about, the toughest schedule in football. We go into this game next week against the Cowboys. Dallas is going to score at least 30 points. We know that for a fact. Dallas is going to score 30 points. The Cowboys move the ball with ease against an Eagles defense that last year was in the conversation for being the best. The Chargers, the Broncos, and the Eagles, right? Just off the top of my head, those were the three best teams defensively in football last year. The Cowboys are going to score 30 on this Giant defense. They're going to score 30 on this Giant defense. Do you have any faith the Giants could get there? Do you have any faith the Giants can get to 20 points, let alone 30? So it can get ugly in Dallas. It has been ugly in Dallas for the Giants over the last decade. Dak has not lost a game to this team since becoming the starter in 2016. Cowboys coming off of a loss. Now a mini bye because they played Thursday night last week. Now hopefully you could get Andrew Thomas in there. But the Dak Prescott I saw on Thursday against the Eagles just looked comfortable. And I have no confidence whatsoever that the Giants are going to be able to stop him. No confidence whatsoever. So it can get ugly in Dallas. It can get really ugly in Dallas. And I just think that you get to 0-2. Now we're at the, is the coach in trouble? Because at some point, and it's not all his fault, but at some point, this offensive guru, this head coach who we built up to be the reason, which this was always comical, the reason Josh Allen became Josh Allen. As if Josh was like some late 4th round pick. Nah, man. Allen was highly touted. Was always considered to be one of the best quarterbacks in that draft. Did Dable help him get to where he is? Absolutely. But pretending like, he turned water into wine, like, y'all, give me a break. But what he was brought here to do was to fix this organization, and his expertise was on the offensive side. What you can't have happen is the Giants, for yet another season, look offensively challenged. And that's what we're in the midst of right now. So, 0-2, and now you've got a Week 3 home opener against the Chiefs, who, by the way, Kansas City could be 0-2 coming into that game as well. Yo, so the Chiefs, after losing to the Chargers on Friday night, they're up against the Eagles. Super Bowl rematch. We'll see what happens with Jalen Carter. Worthy is got the separated shoulder. The Chiefs did not look good in that game against the Chargers at all. The Eagles, I think, are favored in this game. Last I saw, it was 1.5. When's the last time the Chiefs were home dogs? The Chiefs being home dogs is like insane. Let me just pull that up real quick. Yeah, Philly's a 1.5 point favorite this Sunday in Arrowhead. When's the last time the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes were home dogs? That might have happened Did that happen last season? Were the Bills favored to win in Kansas City? I don't know the last time the Chiefs were home dogs. But all that to say, there's a chance they lose this game. And if they lose this game, they're 0-2. So now it's desperation mode for Andy and company. What do you think is going to happen on Sunday night against the Giants? Because that's where the Chiefs, that's one of those games you circle and say, all right, we can win. Because the week after, they're hosting Baltimore. So the Chiefs can't afford, if they lose to the Eagles, last thing they can do is afford to lose to the Giants, having to play Baltimore right after. Things can get ugly really quick. And this is why, again, I predicted the Giants would win this past Sunday. I was dead wrong about that. But I also was not buying into this idea that they were going to shock people and, win more games than they should. I thought that win Sunday would be one of like 5 or 6. Did not appear to be the case. Ty Butler, hit me up. Hop in the chat if you're on YouTube. If you are on Twitter, want to hear from y'all. I'll give you a shout out. Hit me up. What you guys want me to hit on? The chat is open for you if you're watching me on X. Wrapping up week 1. So we hit the Jets. The question was, are you encouraged by what we saw Sunday? And should it be enough to overlook the fact that they lost the game? I'm encouraged. I don't know if that offense is sustainable. I don't know if I can count on Justin Fields to do that consistently. Because history tells me no, he's not going to do that consistently. If he is capable of doing that, and Brees is phenomenal, and Garrett, that opens up this offense to be, significantly better than we thought. I just have skepticism, and I'm right to do so, in that being the case. I'm skeptical. Very, very skeptical. Giants, we just talked about them. I think the Cowboys are going to blast them this coming week. You got to score at least 30 against Dallas to win this game in Dallas, and I just don't see that happening for the Giants. That offense I saw last week, that was very frightening. Very, very frightening. And I picked them to win the game. So don't sit here and think I'm a Jet fan, so I'm being a hater. Y'all, I talked about this on the radio too. This is the first time in a minute that I've actually rooted for the Giants to win games. I don't know if I've ever done that. Maybe 2007, that Super Bowl against the Patriots. I just can't go through another season with 2 bad football teams. I need them to be interesting. I can't go through another season of that. So, obviously being a Jet fan, there's some envy there, and that is what has caused me to root against them. But if they're not playing the Jets, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the Giants win because it makes this more fun to do. I would love to hop on here and talk to y'all and us recap a Giants victory. Because, a lot of people in this business think that, misery sells. Yeah, that will sell for a short while. But then fans begin to check out. Not check out on the team. They'll still watch the games. But do they want to talk about their team to people like me? Do they want to talk about their team on these podcasts and on these talk shows? I don't think so. That's when you start to check out. So we need them to start winning. Jackson Dart right now is not the answer. I don't want to throw. If I'm a Giant fan, the last thing I want to see is Dable throw Jackson Dart under center behind that offensive line and ruin this kid. No way. Week 1, some of the biggest storylines. What a huge win for the Chargers, man. Look, it's silly to say because it's the first week of the season. That's as close to a must-win game for a Chargers team that is begging us to take them seriously as a contender as you're possibly going to get. Chargers lose that game. I know it's in Brazil. They're technically the home team. They lose that game, then it's like more of the same. It's because of what we saw. The last time we saw you was in that debacle in the playoffs where Herbert threw, 4 picks? That's the last time we saw you. That debacle of a game in the postseason when you got smashed by Houston. How does that offense score 12? How does that defense give up 32 points? Herbert, 4 interceptions. 5 years in, yet to win a playoff game. So you need to show us something that's convincing enough for us to say, you know what? We'll believe in you. And the way you do that is to open the season by beating Kansas City. And they're still the team to beat in the AFC. So that was, I thought, a significant win for the Chargers. And it's not going to erase what's happened, but it gives us some confidence that they're a serious team. Bengals, again, you didn't lose, but a 1-point win against Cleveland, it should not have come down to that. I'm sorry. Daniel Jones, man, 272 yards, a touchdown. Colts beat the Dolphins. So I think this says more about the Dolphins, who I actually came on here on radio and defended. I thought that there was too much of an overcorrection on Miami. That, yeah, I didn't think that they were going to be great, but people acting like they were going to be some terrible team in the running for the number 1 overall pick, I thought was a bridge too far. Maybe I was wrong about that. 8 points in Indianapolis. What an embarrassment. Raiders, Patriots. Yo, Vegas, man, they're going to hang in there. Geno Smith is a really good quarterback. Really good quarterback. That's a poor showing for New England in that first game with Vrabel as the head coach. Bo Nix did not play well this weekend, but he still gets the victory over the Titans. Brock Purdy looks like he's hurt. George Kittle's week to week with this hamstring injury. Brock Purdy's now dealing with an injury, so he might not play this Sunday against the Saints. But big moment. Purdy throws the game-winning touchdown, and of course, a Robert Saleh-led defense comes away with a big-time turnover to seal the deal for a win. Of course that happens. Shout out my man RJ, who does a wonderful job on DPH on Rothenberg. I was texting him. I'm like, man, Robert Saleh's defenses didn't have leads they didn't want to blow with the Jets. Never met a lead they didn't want to blow with the Jets. First game back with the Niners. Game-winning, game-sealing play. Sam Darnold turnover to end that one. Packers might be for real. Might be for real. That's a pathetic showing for the Lions. Which was the bigger story? The Lions being a complete mess or the Packers being awesome? I'd say the Packers being awesome. I've got my reservations about the Lions losing both their coordinators, but we shall see. Pretty ugly game. Rams beat the Texans 14-9. This is one of those years, if you're Houston, all right, now it's time for that next step. Back-to-back years, got to the playoffs, won a playoff game. Cool. If you're going to portray yourself as a contender, here's the next leap. And that starts with, of course, C.J. Stroud coming off of a down year last season was not good at all this past Sunday. Not good at all. Not good at all. Then the nightcap. Ravens, Bills. And I'll be honest, y'all. This one hurt me. I'm obviously not a Ravens fan, but I love Lamar Jackson. So I root for the Ravens to win games unless they're playing the Jets. This was not a Lamar Jackson indictment. This was not a referendum on him. Because a lot of people, when they see that the Ravens blew a lead, automatically it becomes an indictment of Lamar because he doesn't play well in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. This was not a Lamar Jackson loss. This was, to me, on John Harbaugh. That defense was a disaster. Derrick Henry can't have that turnover happen. But on 4th and 3 to win the game, you decided with a 2-point lead. Now, if you're up 3, a little bit different. With a 2-point lead, you decided to punt the football back to Josh Allen, who was on a heater. That might have been the best game I've ever seen Josh Allen play. And you're watching that, you're John Harbaugh, and you say, let's give him back the ball? I did not understand that because what? You were trusting a defense that up to that point had allowed the Bills to score, 38 points? That's the defense you were trusting. The Bills were just, every possession in that fourth quarter, shredding the Baltimore defense. And this is where I think some coaches get timid and afraid of the criticism that they know will come if they aren't aggressive. Because, all the old OG football heads, the old timers are like, I miss the good old days when you just punted on 4th down, and why are these teams going for it so much? Well, sometimes situations, and I thought Dan Campbell a couple of years ago in that NFC Championship game just made a mockery of it. But there are certain situations that even the old heads can tell you calls for you being aggressive. 4th and 3, you've got Lamar Jackson, a 2-time league MVP, and Derrick Henry, who I know had just fumbled. But those are the guys you have in your backfield with a chance to win the game. You pick up a first down, game is over. And you decided, I'm going to take the ball out of their hands, give it back to a Buffalo offense that up to that point has scored 38 points. That makes sense to anybody? And now the Ravens have become this team under John Harbaugh who are just blowing leads left, like big leads, double-digit leads, late in games, left and right. And that's a massive, massive swing. Because people will say, well, it's week 1, but because we know how awesome Buffalo is, that battle for the 1 seed could very well have come down to that decision on 4th and 3. Even if you don't make it, okay, cool. They're in field goal range. We'll try to get a stop here. It's less field they have to travel, which means they're not going to burn as much time off the clock. And then we hopefully get the ball back. But I'm confident in Lamar and Derrick Henry to pick up 3 yards. 3 yards. The Baltimore offense, think about this for a moment, rushed for 238 yards in this game. 238 yards. Could I trust them to pick up 3 to win the game? Maybe I should have done that. And if you do that, you win the game. But for some odd reason, Harbaugh just elected against that. And I'm just dumbfounded, man. Making the same decision over and over again. So that's almost 2 losses. You lose the game, and now you lose the season series to Buffalo. So come end of the season, you're battling for that 1 seed. There you go. And the Bills have a relatively easy schedule compared to what Baltimore had. Baltimore is in that division with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. So it's going to be tough for them to come up from that type of a loss. And then last night was not as interesting of a game as the Sunday night. But I've got some legitimate questions about Caleb Williams, who at times looked fantastic. That first drive, awesome. His escapability, tremendous. So he's got some pop, some zip on that ball. He has the skill set. But then there are times you're watching him, the throws that are errant, the reads that he's missing, situationally, he's just not getting it. And with chances to win that game, as they did, they scored 17 points on offense. Because one of the touchdowns came via a pick six. So a lot of Bears fans, a lot of national media members made excuses for Caleb Williams last year. Oh, it's Eberflus, it's offensive coordinator, it's the offensive line, it's not what. All these excuses this past offseason eliminated. You hired the hottest coach on the market this side of Mike Vrabel. Hottest coach on the market, offensive genius, Ben Johnson, and you put up 17 points last night. I get Brian Flores' defense is excellent, but that's what you did last night, and too many times you missed throws. That game should have been over. You could have iced him. J.J. McCarthy for like 2.5 quarters looked like he didn't belong on the field. And I reserved judgment on him because it's unfair. He's coming off knee surgery, missed an entire season, and he is technically a rookie. He did look overwhelmed, but that last night was, if you're a Bears fan, very, very concerning. If you are a Bears fan, being objective and honest with yourself, you came away from that concerned. Ty D. Butler, so y'all can find me. I am here on X. I am also on Instagram. We get it popping on YouTube, so subscribe to the YouTube page, Ty D. Butler. Would love to hear from you guys. Hit me up in the chat. I will be doing this daily. We'll come up with topic. We won't just be doing football, by the way. Yankees start a big series tonight against the Tigers. Yankees after taking 2 of 3 against the Blue Jays. The Mets, what a laugher. 1-0. And what summed up that game for the Mets was the Francisco Alvarez at bat to end it. Just brutal. Disgusting. So we'll get into baseball as we get closer and closer to the postseason. So we'll be on here every day, breaking down the biggest topics, inciting some interesting conversation and debates. So I want y'all to be on here. Come at me, agree with me, disagree with me. I want to hear from y'all. We'll do baseball, hit the NFL, basketball season starting soon. So we're just gonna continue to grow this thing, becoming a live streamer. I get that logo popping. So appreciate you guys tuning in today. See, we got almost 100 viewers, so not bad for our first stream here on X. But yeah, hit me up, y'all. Hit me up. I appreciate you guys. Jets, I don't feel great going into the Steelers game. Might do a post-game show after that. Giants, can't feel good about that going into this Cowboys game. But we got, yes, as I mentioned, all the teams on the table. Jets, Giants, got the Mets and the Yankees. We'll get into the Knicks when they pull up for the season opener. And we'll see what happens with the one thing I'll say about the Knicks, Ben Simmons, right? Because there are hot and heavy rumors about Ben Simmons joining the Knicks. When's the last time Ben Simmons joined a team and was valuable? Here's another thing. And maybe you can say this is unfair. If a dude is contemplating retirement, is that someone I want on my team? I don't think that guy, because people will say, well, Aaron Rodgers. I don't actually think Aaron Rodgers was contemplating retirement. I think Aaron Rodgers, similar to Jerry Jones, likes to maximize the news-making window so that he stays in the conversation. I don't think he was actually contemplating retirement. But if Ben Simmons, who is not very good, who has not been valuable to a team since, early Philly days, tells you he's contemplating retirement. Is that the resume of a guy I want to be a part of my team with these massive expectations? I mean, massive expectations for Ben Simmons. For the Knicks, I should say. The expectations for the Knicks, sky high. I don't think Ben Simmons is who I want on this squad. So, as you can see, I'm getting myself ready for the NBA season. Hit me up, Ty Butler. Appreciate you